We've all been there. We have a deck, we don't want to put it down, it's our favorite deck in the world, and no matter what, we're not going to switch up. But sometimes, change is good. What's going on, you guys? Slim here to tell you guys what I personally feel are the 5 signs that it's time to switch decks. If that sounds interesting, let's hop into it. So, I know you guys, we all have that favorite deck. I have been there so many times. So many times there are decks that I just don't ever want to put down, but eventually I realize, it might be that time. So, first things first. First sign, you haven't won a match in a really, really long time. And I'm not talking about a single game, I'm talking about a match. Best 2 out of 3. You can say, oh, well, I won a game, but you still lost the match. You didn't win overall. Winning 1 game, it feels great. Winning 2 games feels a lot better, because you know what that means? It means you won the match. But whenever you just haven't won a match in a really long time, it's time to put it down. I played so many different decks over the years, and I remember, even with Mech Knight Invoked, I, was getting destroyed left and right. I just couldn't win a single match. I could win a single game and be like, yes, okay, it's working. Then go to game 2 and game 3 and then lose and just be like, man. And I'm not even talking about them telling me to go first. I'm talking about just in general. And yeah, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. It was like, maybe it's time to switch decks. So yeah, if you're not winning a lot of matches, or you haven't won a match in a really long time, it's probably time to switch decks. The second sign that, it's time to switch decks is you actually don't get excited to play your deck. Let me tell you one thing. If I'm going to play a deck, I want to get excited about it. I don't ever want to go into a locals or regionals and nationals, any event, and just automatically regret my deck choice. I can tell you right now, some of the most fun decks I've ever played were my Lightsworn decks, were the decks that Johnny built, were the decks that, anything with Minerva in it, you guys already know. You guys know from back in the day, Dino Rabbit, Dark World, all my favorite decks. I would get so excited to play those decks. It didn't matter what event it was. I went in nationals with Dino Rabbit, went in YCS Long Beach with Dino Rabbit, went in to regionals with Dark World, played Dark World at other events. Even, I'll be honest, even playing the Danger World OTK, I was actually excited to not only play it for my friend, but just in general, because I was like, this is kind of different. I'm going to have a good time. I was excited to play that deck. And that's the thing, is that if you don't get excited to play your deck, you automatically just have this mental block my deck's alright, it's whatever. And trust me, that's an automatic thing that's pretty much going to put you in a losing state no matter what. If you're not excited, if you're not feeling your deck, you're not going to see all the combos, you're not going to see your way how to break a board, you're not going to see any of this stuff. You know what's going to happen? You're going to lose. You know what's going to happen? You're already not excited about your deck. You don't want to, you don't want to admit it, you're not excited, and then you just lose, and it just piles on all this negativity, and it's awful, and it's literally just the worst feeling. You have to be excited about your deck. Come on, you guys, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! We have to be excited to play our decks, because let's face it, most of these decks, they're pretty pricey. If you invest in Phantasmes, if you invested in Impermanences back in the day, I think even now they're still pricey. If you invest in those cards and they're in your deck, you better hope you're excited, because I don't think there's anything worse than spending hundreds of dollars on cards and then you go to play and you're just not excited. It's just no, it's I don't want that. I don't ever want that feeling of, man, I should have played a different deck. Man, why am I playing this deck? Oh, your deck looks cool. Maybe I should have played that. No, you have to go into your events excited. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to be excited to play your deck, or you've already lost. Just like the previous video. You're already in a negative mind state. You've already lost. It is not right to play today, so be excited to play your deck. The third way it's time to switch decks, and this one's funny. Shout out to Monarchs. You draw nothing but bricks. Now I know what you guys are saying. Slim, every deck can brick at one point. This is true. Every deck can brick at one point. You can draw just awful, unplayable hand and do nothing with it. And I'll tell you right now, it sucks. Everyone made fun of Monarchs back in the day. Oh, this deck has so many bricks you can build a house. Oh, this deck bricks. Oh, this deck bricks. Every deck is going to brick, but when you actually draw unplayable hands all the time, maybe it's not the deck, maybe it's your deck building. And I've been there so many times where I thought, oh no, I have to play this card, it's important. Oh, I gotta play 3 of this card. Oh, I gotta play 3 of this card. Oh, maybe 2 of this card. Nah, it doesn't work. And then you play those one-ofs, the one-ofs that you can play one-ofs of, that's fine. But when there's a card that's at 3 and you're only playing 1 and it's a main part of your deck, it's part of your main deck core, and you're not maxing out on it to see it, there's a problem. So that problem can be in many things, you know. In most decks, you play a 3 of because you want to see it. Like, there's no denying it, you know. We have all these different Thunder Dragon ratios. That's like the perfect example. Like, oh, we played 3 of this in the beginning, now we're playing 2, then we play 1. 1 isn't enough, 2's just right. You know, there's all these like crazy ratios. It's like when you play Dangers, like, I mean, I've seen people do the 2 ofs, the 2 Nessie, the 2 Jackalope, the 2 Snake, but like when your cards are like so important, you need to play 3 ofs, like you need to max out on them. And people think, oh, if you draw, you know, multiple copies, it sucks. I mean, would you rather draw 2 of a card you want to see or 0 of a card you want to see? So trust me, that could be a thing. Now I know everyone talked about the bricks that exist with Monarchs, and you know there've been decks over the years that like, oh, this deck just bricks so much, Dark Lords, all these other decks, Blue Eyes, you get, you know, just cluttered with all these monsters or all these cards you don't want to play. But you know, you really have to think, like, if my deck is bricking all the time, I probably built it wrong. I probably took wrong advice from someone. I probably tried to, you know, build a deck thinking that, oh, this was the best way to build it, and it wasn't. Like, you really need to think about that when you are constructing a deck. And like I said, I've been there. I'll tell you guys, before I played the Mech Knight Invoke deck, I had played at a locals I was testing with my friend, and I literally lost 6 matches in a row, and it wasn't because I wasn't seeing my cards. I just didn't have the right ratios. I didn't have the right consistency, and with that, I just knew, okay, my deck building is wrong. I have to admit it, and I have to go back to the drawing board. I have to make the deck better. I need to take out the bricks. Now, I know, at the end of the day, you're going to draw brick hands. It happens. Like, you can have the most consistent deck in the world, and you might get that one hand that just, there is no play whatsoever. Like, literally no play whatsoever. And I mean, it happens. But at the end of the day, if you're consistently bricking, then there's definitely a problem with the deck, and it's probably time to either switch decks, put down the deck, or it's time to, you know, consider, you know, rebuilding the deck, make it more consistent. Talk to someone who's a better deck builder than you. Trust me, I've done it, and it makes all the difference in the world. Okay, the fourth way I can tell you that it's probably time to, you know, switch decks. You cannot establish a board nor break a board. And what I mean by that is, if your deck is, say, Danger Thunder, and say you're playing unopposed, just say you're playing unopposed, you should be able to build some kind of board. Like, you might not build the best board, you might not draw the best hand, but you should be able to build some kind of board. But say you just don't. Say, like, out of all the games you play, even playing, you know, unopposed, you still don't build a board. Not only do you have to question the deck building, not only do you need to question your ratios and stuff, you need to question the deck. Like, Salamangreats, they put up a pretty simple board. They do it pretty consistently. But imagine if you decided to go, you know, with some crazy, like, different ratios, different builds, and say, like, you just don't build that board at all. Like, say you just never end on like a trap. Say you never end on a link. I mean, I think you should always end on a link, but just say you don't. And I'm talking about playing unopposed. Like, I know that's not a really great example because, you know, your opponent might have hand traps, they might have interruptions, but just say they don't. You need to test your consistency. Like, say you go on Dueling Book in the single play mode and you just play, you know, you solitaire your deck unopposed, and say you're just not building a board. There's a problem there. And on the, you know, the other side of that, say you just can't break a board. Like, say your opponent puts up a board and you have no counter to it. Like, say you just literally have no play. I'm sure you'll get those hands. I've had these games where against Crusadia Guard Dragons, they just put up infinite negates. Pendulum decks, they put up infinite negates. But, you know, I still try to play something. Like, you never know. You might just get lucky. I've had games where literally it looked impossible to break the board, but the player also just did not use their negations properly. You know what ended up happening? I actually won that game. I won those games because, you know, you just try to put all, you know, just throw everything you have at your opponent's board. Like, literally just throw everything at them sometimes. And sometimes it's enough to win. Or sometimes it's enough to at least break the board and, you know, sway the game back in your favor. But when your deck can't do either of those things, neither build a board or break a board, it's probably time to change decks. And lastly, and then this one I really like. This was my last idea. I was thinking, I was like, of all the things, what would it be? And I decided to say that the fifth way, you know, it's probably time to, you know, switch decks. You're doing the same old tricks and you are not progressing as a player. What I mean by that is, okay, we all have those players out there that are strictly stun players, strictly control players, strictly build a board players, strictly negate board, you know, whatever kind of players, you know, that only play pendulums, only play this, only play that. And that's normal. Like, we all have that. I've tried to play a variation of decks. Thunder Dragons is something I always come back to, and like the world deck was so different because it was more of a, I'm not really building a board, I'm just trying to get to an end win condition, and even going second, I'm just trying to break a board, you know, attack for game. Like, it was a completely different style for me versus Thunder Dragons, where you're just putting up a board and, you know, it's just like, oh, can you break it, can you not? Okay, I guess I win. But when you're not trying different decks, you're not learning anything. Now, I'll be the first to say it. I'm not the biggest fan of Solomon Great. I'm really not. And don't hate me for it. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Think the deck's cool, but it's really not for me. But I am still going to play that deck, build the deck, and learn it because you learn something in the process. You learn how the deck plays. You learn how to counter it. You learn its weaknesses. You learn its strengths. You learn basically the Achilles heel of every deck you play. Because, you know, yeah, you may win a lot of games, but the games you lose, you gotta know why you lost them. And if you're just deciding to be too stubborn, which I think is honestly the best word for it, saying, oh, I don't ever want to stop playing stun decks. I don't ever want to, you know, switch. I never want to do anything. You're not allowing yourself to progress as a player. You're not allowing yourself to be open to new ideas, open to new, you know, ways to play a deck, open to new, like, strategies, open to new summoning mechanics. Like, for me, pendulums, we never really clicked. Like, I'll be honest, we never really clicked. But you know what? I'm still going to learn those decks. You know why? Because when I get my ass beat by them, I need to know why. I need to know why I couldn't do anything. I need to know the Achilles heel of that deck. And by doing that, I think you just overall get better as a player. And I think that's the most important thing, is being willing to adapt to every format, every summoning condition, everything Konami throws at us. We just have to learn. Like I always say, we have to adapt and we have to keep playing at the end of the day. But yeah. That's it. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video, bell, that, wherever they are. I don't freaking know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is just a really cool topic, being able to talk about, you know, we've all been there. We've all had to put decks down. I mean, sometimes, oh, and one last thing, this is like the bonus one. When you know it's time to put down a deck, when the ban list absolutely destroys your deck. That's not your fault, though, just so you know. But if the ban list destroys your deck to make it unplayable, well, I mean, that's really out of your control. But I guess that's the bonus way to know it's time to put down a deck. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What have been your experiences when you've had to give up decks? What was the reason? Did your deck get power crept? Did it, you know, there's all these things. I didn't mention power creep because, yeah, it's a thing. But I'd rather talk about more, like, actual ways I feel like as a player and, you know, just everyday playing, like how you would know if your deck has a problem and you have to switch or something like that. But in the comments below, let me know what you guys think. Let me know your experiences, and you guys know what to do, all the stuff around the bell, all that. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.